Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Breaking Through Life Challenges with me, Diane Parker. And I'm so pleased today to welcome back to the podcast Nicola Quayle, who does Positive Solutions HR. Hi, Nikki. Thanks so much for coming along today.
Hi, Di. Thank you for having me.
Nikki, we're talking about coaching as a topic for these series of videos, but I would just like to give you the opportunity, please, to share your journey, what HR means to you, why coaching is important to you, and perhaps share a little bit of your own experience.
So to me, coaching is a fundamental part of HR, fundamental part of management. So I suppose for my whole career and the whole of HR, I've used coaching to a certain degree because a lot of the work that I do is talking to people, digging down into problems, issues, difficulties, misunderstandings. And the way to do that, I find, is through questioning. Which obviously is a massive part of coaching. It also helps to uncover the real reasons why people have come to you. So certainly in HR, you get a lot of people coming to you with problems. And sometimes it's not what they come to you with isn't the real problem. So asking all those questions and I suppose getting them to reflect on what it is that they've come to you with is very powerful in terms of getting to the root of issues.
That's right, yes. So when you're presenting yourself as somebody that can support, because you just don't do corporates, you do small businesses as well, is that right?
Yeah, so yeah, a bit of both, mainly with small businesses. So this is people who haven't got appropriate HR support, and people who are in bigger organisations who are kind of starting their journey into management, certainly on the coaching side,
So it's
or
very good
project.
to know that you do something like that, because if there is, a small business and they've got potentially a problem, at least they know that when they call on you, they get that aspect of coaching as well. So that's really powerful. So tell me, when did you notice the power of coaching?
So I suppose when I experienced it myself, and I think that's the difficult part of coaching is trying to explain to people what it's all about and what advantages it has. And I think until you've experienced it or tried it out for yourself, you don't really understand what it's all about and how useful it is. So I was in a corporate environment and I'd been newly promoted to quite a senior position. So this required a whole kind of new skill set and a whole new world, if you like, because I was up at kind of board level. So I had a personal coach at that time, and it was absolutely fantastic because it was a little bit of somebody listening to you. So it was somebody in confidence that I could go to and talk about issues that I was facing or difficulties that I was having or even feelings that came up during the working day or in certain situations, and for them to actually challenge, validate, and check out what it was that was actually going on. And then they helped me kind of help guide me through. And I picked up lots of fantastic knowledge, lots of fantastic skills, the power of reflection, I would say, as well, which has really helped.
That's how I describe it. Is it's a powerful conversation held in a safe space, and we don't see you as broken.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas possibly in my field, people might think that, it's therapy. Why would I go to a coach when I might need a therapist or, counselor? So obviously if there's mental health issues, then obviously up the ladder they go. But to have a space for somebody to have that powerful conversation, it's just such a gift that you bring into the table in your skill set for what you're giving your clients. It's amazing. So sorry.
I was going to say, I was just going to agree with you, Di. Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And I think the hardest part for some people is actually starting that conversation. So certainly in the beginning of some of my relationships with coaching clients, it is all about just listening to them. And having somebody listen to you is actually really powerful. So having somebody listen to you without judgment, without labels, without trying to fix you, if you like,
Yeah.
I think is really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of my coaches used to say, we've got two of these and one of them. So it is about, I mean, that is so excuse me, undervalued. The power of listening. especially in sort of the stuff I do, excuse me, because people try to think they need to fix somebody when they're dealing with grief. So to give them that space to just be themselves and open up and just say what's going on for them without that fear of judgment or shaming them or blaming them. Just say, we're here. Just put it out on that table. Just air it and let's see what comes up for you. So that's, you know, it's just like, well done, Nikki.
How it is about that safe, confidential space, as you said.
Oh,
it's making
absolutely, yes. Especially both Nikki and I live on the Isle of Man, so it can be a challenge for people to feel safe enough to open up. And it's often sometimes the first thing they say is, you know, this is confidential, isn't it? When yeah, it wouldn't be a very good coach if it wasn't. But you know, there you go. That's just the living in a community like this. But where do you see yourself going with the business in the future? What would be your dream avenue for your business?
So my core business is that HR help. So helping small businesses with things like contracts of employment and generally understanding what it means to be an employer, what they need to do legally, what they need to do practically, and what they need to do to develop their staff and have a happy and active workforce. And alongside that sits the coaching. So I am kind of guiding people through things, talking to people about issues. If they've got members of staff who have problems, then I'll kind of step in and do some coaching.
Coaching the business owners.
Yes, yeah.
And what they need to do. It's good.
Yeah, it is very much that, and it is very useful. Coaching is very useful for business owners because I think when you have your own business, it's easy to get yourself kind of pigeonholed and in a bit of a rut. So I do think it is a useful thing for business owners to have somebody challenging.
The things that has come across my path, it's ask, you know, if you know people in the different fields, you don't have to do everything. So if somebody has a small business and they're not too sure about employing staff, when does that conversation, is it good to reach out to you and have a chat about how that should look and the pathway in to bring staff in, or is it just wait until you've got staff?
I'd much prefer people spoke to me beforehand than to try to unravel the things that they've done wrong afterwards. So definitely the earlier the better to have that conversation. Obviously there's no obligation. I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody who's thinking of employing staff, guide them through it, and then we can decide if and when we want to work together going forward.
I know from my own personal experience many years ago that employing staff was a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. I'd be that person that you're talking about now to just try and unpick things again. But going forward, I'll certainly be on the phone to you saying, come and help me. So is there anything that you would like to share that you haven't said yet that before I wind this little chat of ours up?
I think it's just to kind of re-emphasize the power of just having those conversations, whether you view it as coaching, whether you view it as just somebody to talk to in the medium term. I think coaching sometimes scares people off. I know in corporate environments, a lot of the time when people talk about coaching, they think, oh, I've been picked on because I'm not performing, or I'm being coached because of a negative reason, but it's definitely not a negative process. And those first conversations will often lead to referrals. So, for instance, if I was dealing with somebody who came to me with an issue and it turned out that the underlying issue was grief, for instance, then I obviously would pass them on to you or to or another coach or counsellor who would take that forward. So it's kind of knowing boundaries as well as.
Yeah, it's a really good point you just made, that people think they're being picked on when it's been suggested that they need coaching. And it's how you can reframe that so that they can say, you know, it's just you to have a chat with somebody. We don't see you as broken. We're just here to have this open conversation to help you get to the answers that are inside of you. I always say I'm just facilitating this journey. You know, it's inside of you. Let's get you to where you want to be and unstuck. So that's really good to keep that going and see what we can do in the future going forward to help educate people in that aspect of coaching. So thanks for that, Nikki. Thank you for coming and just sharing that with us today. I have a project going forward, which I know that I've shared a little bit about with you, Just Ask a Coach. So I'm hoping at some point in the future you'll come back and do another little quick podcast with me on this coaching element and how we can slide that into what we're working with. But before you go, quick question. Who has inspired you the most over the last 2 years?
I'm not sure I could put it down to one particular person who's inspired me. I think that you kind of get inspiration from everybody around you in certain ways. And again, about having conversations, or about things cropping up in conversations, or things that you come across that actually triggers something. So if you're in a work environment, I suppose you call it those water cooler conversations, where you're just having kind of ad hoc conversations with people, and it just triggers something in you, and you think, oh yeah, that's a really good idea, or I never thought of that. And I think that's the inspiration for me.
Yeah, well, that's just fantastic. Again, thank you so much, Nikki. If people need to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
So they can email me at nicola@positivesolutionshr.com, or via my website, www.positivesolutionshr.com, and all my contact details are on the website.
And I will drop them below this video so that people can have that to hand for them. Nikki, again, thank you so much for coming on, having a little chat with me today.
No, thank you very much, Di. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks very much now. Bye.
Bye.